At 4:06 a.m. on November 29, 2025, a mooring point floats in the dark water off Novorossiysk. It is 5 kilometers from shore. A tanker is supposed to connect here, then something hits it from the sea. The object is called Single Point Mooring 2. It is part of the Caspian Pipeline Consortium terminal on Russia's Black Sea coast. But most of the oil moving through it does not start in Russia. It starts here in Kazakhstan. This is how one drone strike hit Kazakhstan's oil exit. The Caspian Pipeline Consortium is a pipeline with a strange geography. It begins near the oil fields of western Kazakhstan. It runs across Russian territory. Then it ends at the Yuzhnaya Ozrivka terminal near Novorossiysk, where crude is loaded onto tankers in the Black Sea. From there it can move to buyers around the world. On a map it looks simple. Oil goes west, money comes back east. In reality, it is one of the most important pieces of infrastructure in Kazakhstan. The route carries around 80% of the country's oil exports. It also handles more than 1% of global oil supply. For Kazakhstan, this is not a side road. This is the main door. That door sits inside a war zone. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Black Sea has changed. Ports, refineries, ships, bridges, fuel depots, all of them have become targets. Ukraine says it strikes energy infrastructure to weaken Russia's war economy. Russia says the attacks are terrorism. The sea between them has become a battlefield with shipping lanes. Kazakhstan is in the middle of this, but not exactly by choice. It is not a party to the war. It has tried to avoid taking a clear side. It sells oil through a route that crosses Russian territory, ends at a Russian port, includes Russian shareholders, and also includes Kazakh, American, and Western oil interests. This is the sort of infrastructure that looks neutral until someone fires at it. The terminal itself does not work like a normal dock. Tankers do not pull up beside a pier and wait for a crane. Instead, the CPC uses 3 offshore loading points called SBMs. These are floating buoys connected to the shore by undersea pipelines. A tanker approaches. It connects to the buoy. Oil moves from land through pipes under the sea and into the ship, usually. 2 of the 3 moorings can load oil while one stays as a backup. That detail matters. By late November 2025, one of the 3 moorings, SBM-3, was already offline for maintenance. That left SBM and SBM-2 to carry the system. Then in the early morning of November 29th, SBM-2 was hit. According to the CPC, the damage was serious. Loading operations stopped. Tankers were pulled out of the terminal's waters. The consortium later said further operation of SBM-2 was not possible. 1 buoy was gone, another was under repair. The backup system had lost its backup. For a country like Kazakhstan, this is a very specific kind of emergency. It is not a dramatic explosion in the capital. It is not a collapsed bridge or a burning city block. It is a damaged floating object in the water, 5 kilometers from shore, but attached to it are oil fields. Government revenue, foreign companies, shipping contracts, and an economy built around getting crude out. The oil comes from names that are familiar in the energy world. Tengiz, Karachaganak, Kashagan, huge fields in western Kazakhstan. Operated with the involvement of major international companies, Chevron, ExxonMobil, Eni, Shell. These are not small producers moving a few barrels around. These are some of the largest energy projects in the region. For years, the logic was simple. Kazakhstan had oil, Russia had geography, the Black Sea had access. Then drones entered the equation. The strike on November 29th was not the first time CPC-linked infrastructure had been hit in 2025. Earlier in the year, the Kropotkinskaya pumping station had been damaged. CPC's office area near Novorossiysk had also been affected by attacks. Kazakhstan described the November strike as another attack on civilian infrastructure. Its foreign ministry told Ukraine to stop. Ukraine responded that its actions were not aimed at Kazakhstan or any third party. It said the strikes were part of repelling Russian aggression. Both statements can exist at the same time. And that is the problem. From Ukraine's perspective, Russia's oil infrastructure helps fund the war. From Kazakhstan's perspective, this terminal is the route through which its own oil reaches the world. From the perspective of the drone, there is no such distinction. It flies toward coordinates. The damage did not end oil exports completely. CPC later resumed shipments from SPM-1. Chevron said loadings of Tengiz Chevron crude were continuing. The system did not die, it limped, but the numbers changed. Analysts estimated that CPC exports were cut sharply after the attack. Reuters later reported that the pipeline would not return to full export capacity until at least December 11th. And that SPM-2 repairs could take months, since SPM-3 was still under maintenance. The terminal was effectively operating with one mooring point. One floating buoy now carried a country's main export route. By the end of December, the effect had moved upstream. Kazakhstan's oil output was reported down around 6% from November levels. Production at Tengiz, the country's largest oil field, was down about 10%. Exports from Kazakhstan alone through the CPC terminal were reported down 19% so far in December, compared with November's average. That is what infrastructure does. When it works, nobody thinks about it. When it fails, everyone learns its name. Kazakhstan tried to reroute what it could. Some oil moved toward the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline. Some went through the Adirau-Samara pipeline. Officials said alternative routes were being reviewed and activated where possible. But there was no simple replacement for the CPC route. A pipeline built over decades cannot be swapped out like a road closure. The oil market noticed, prices moved. Insurance costs in the Black Sea became a bigger concern. Tankers. Companies, ports, governments, and traders all began recalculating the same question. How safe is a shipment that passes near Russia's Black Sea oil infrastructure? This is why the attack mattered beyond the physical damage. It showed that Kazakhstan's most important export route could be hit because of a war it was trying not to join. Kazakhstan has spent years balancing between larger powers. Russia is a neighbor, a trade partner, and the country through which its main oil route passes. China is a growing energy partner to the east. Europe buys large volumes of Kazakh crude. Western oil majors are deeply involved in Kazakh production. Ukraine is a country Kazakhstan has not wanted to openly oppose. This creates a foreign policy made of careful sentences. Condemn too much and Moscow listens. Condemn too little and Kiev listens. Stay silent and the market listens. The CPC itself is also a diplomatic puzzle. Its shareholders include Russian, Kazakh, and American interests. The terminal sits in Russia. The oil is mostly Kazakh. The companies include Chevron and ExxonMobil. A strike on the terminal is therefore not just a strike on Russian territory. It touches American business. Kazakh exports, Russian infrastructure, European supply, and Black Sea security. That is the point of modern infrastructure. It is never just one country's pipe. The object hit in the water was only a mooring point. But a mooring point is a kind of handshake between land and sea. Without it, the oil remains trapped in the system. The fields keep producing until storage, pressure, contracts, and economics begin to push back. Then production has to slow. And when production slows, the damage moves from the coast to the field, from the field to the budget. From the budget to the state. A drone does not need to destroy a pipeline to change the behavior of a country. It only needs to show that the pipeline can be interrupted. There is another detail. SBM-1 and SBM-2 had both been in operation since 2001 and were already planned for replacement. These were not abstract symbols of energy power. They were aging pieces of offshore equipment doing physical work every day in salt water. Weather, pressure, and geopolitical chaos. The war did not create the vulnerability, it found it after the strike. The terminal kept operating under restrictions. Oil still moved, tankers still came. The system did what large systems often do after a shock. It absorbed the damage and pretended this was normal. But the old assumption was broken. For years, Kazakhstan could treat the CPC route as a dependable exit. It was complicated, but it worked. The pipeline crossed Russia, but the oil was Kazakh. The terminal sat on the Black Sea. But it served international companies. The war was nearby, but the route was too important to touch. Then SBM-2 was hit before sunrise. After that, every tanker waiting near Novorossiysk was not just a vessel. It was a question. Every rerouted barrel was not just logistics. It was a warning. Every repair estimate was also a political forecast. If the Black Sea remains a battlefield, Kazakhstan has to keep exporting through it anyway, if it moves more oil east. China's role grows. If it moves more through the Caucasus, capacity becomes the problem. If it stays with CPC. The drones remain part of the route. The terminal did not disappear. The oil did not stop forever. That is what makes the story more uncomfortable, because the strike did not close Kazakhstan's main exit. It taught everyone where the exit is.